responsible personally for one of the most iconic moments in the history of U.S. soccer. She is celebrated with her teammates back then in a ticker tape parade in New York City. She's been honored at the White House by a president that she admires greatly. As we speak, she is the leading goal scorer in the National Women's Soccer League. As a young girl, she watched Mia Hamm and the other legends of her sport. She happens to be one of the highest profile openly gay athletes in the history of our country. Recently, she knelt during the national anthem to show her support for Colin Kaepernick. And at one point, a farm owner in her native California actually cut his cornfield in a way that if you were in an airplane looking down, it was in the shape of Megan Rapinoe. I'll never forget her cross to Abby Wambach to help the USA beat Brazil at the Women's World Cup in 2011. As we welcome to the David Glenn Show, Megan Rapinoe. You can follow her. She's a lot of fun on Twitter at mpino. I have to know, even 6 years later, Megan, are you still good with that pass to Wambach at that World Cup still being the number one thing that most people associate with Megan Rapinoe?
I'm good with it. To be honest, it gives me chills, and I still can't believe that I was part of that moment. So I feel like just the same as fans, in a way, I feel like I'm a fan of that moment. It was just such an incredible day, and just something, yeah, like I said, it still gives me goosebumps.
Now, you are at this point an Olympic gold medalist, 2012, a World Cup champion, 2015. Is that moment still like number one on your list of on-the-field moments? Because you've had a lot of them at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, winning championships, gold medals, all that. Those are incredible moments. But in terms of one single moment of excitement and the pressure that was on it, just the game in general and how crazy it was and the cross and all of it, it was just, I still can't really wrap my head around the moment. It was insane in the moment. It's insane every single day after. And it was just an unbelievable moment in sports, really. I mean, not just in soccer, not just in women's soccer, not just in World Cup history, but just in general in terms of, drama and clutch performances and, this sort of never say die attitude that we have. I mean, it was just bonkers.
Bonkers is a good word. I'm shaking my head listening to you describe it because I'm still reeling 6 years later, and I cover sports for a living. Megan Rapinoe is joining us on the David Glenn Show. She also happens to be the leading scorer as we speak in the National Women's Soccer League. Her Seattle team was here in North Carolina again recently. I love on your Twitter profile a quote, "Laughing is like air to me." Is that a Rapinoe original, and where does it come from?
I think it is an original. Trying to, I guess, put something on there that sort of captures your personality. Those things are always a little bit difficult to drum up, but that is definitely a huge part of my personality. I need to enjoy myself. I need to have a smile on my face. I think that life is too short to not enjoy it. Obviously, there's tense moments everywhere in life, and on the field and off the field, but I think that at least for me, it's vital. It's a big part of how I express myself and how I relate to other people and the relationships that I want to have. And definitely on the soccer field, it's serious enough already. So anytime I can bring a little bit of humor to it, bring a little bit of lightness to it, I think it does everybody a world of good.
Hearing a goofball like me from the stands pledge my eternal love to you probably is a nice tribute, but I read one time that a farm owner in your native California once cut his or her cornfield in a way that if you were viewing from above in an airplane or otherwise, it looked like the shape of Megan Rapinoe's face. I mean, I love you, but come on, right? I mean, that has to be one of the top tributes of all time, right?
Yes, it definitely is one of the top tributes. I mean, I don't even know how you do that.
Right?
That's just incredible, the amount of planning and diligence it takes to actually do that. It's pretty cool. I love being from the town that I am, pretty small town, and not a lot of sports hubbub or drama going on there, but it's pretty cool to be able to play on the world stage and represent the city that I'm from.
What else is meaningful to you? What else resonates with you? I mean, a cornfield is a cornfield. It's a one-time token of appreciation. A middle-aged man pledging his love to you from the sidelines can only go so far. I just look in the eyes of these young girls. My daughter happens to be 14 and a soccer player and was there that night. What other things that you encounter as a soccer superstar turn out to be the most meaningful to you with that in mind?
Yeah, I think something that I've really, cherished throughout my whole career, but I think grown into later in my career, is using the platform they have. Obviously, soccer is exploding in this country, and definitely in the last 5 or 6 years for women's soccer, the popularity has just become so massive. So being able to use that platform, for good. I have a company of my own that we run in clinics, and, our whole motto is just to be your best you, which is basically just to be yourself, and that's good enough, and just know that you don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. And obviously the activist side of me, I think has really grown into this role, being an out gay, player in this country, and being able to, reach people, in different cities and different parts of the country, and being able to share my story and hopefully be a positive role model for kids and adults alike. And I think I've been really, lucky to be in the position that I am, that I can hopefully make a positive change in one way or another. I mean, at the end of the day, soccer's a game, and it's just there's so much more out there, and there's so many more important things out there, and we're just really lucky to be able to have the platform that we do and try to, affect positive change in whatever way we can. So for me, that's been the greatest gift, I think, of all of this. It's been incredible to be successful and travel the world and all of that, but really, I think the positive impact that I've been able to make and to share my story and to use my voice for good has been the greatest accomplishment of my career, in my opinion.
I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm glad you shared that story. Online, is it still Rapinoe.us the best place to go?
Yes.
Okay, that's with her twin sister, Rachel. They created the company that Megan just mentioned the name of, Be Your Best You. It's a great message. Anybody who wants to learn more can go to that website, Rapinoe.us. Remember, it's Rapinoe. With that spelling in mind, one of my favorite hashtags ever, I actually invited you to the tailgate party outside the Seattle, North Carolina Carriage match before I realized that you weren't going to make that match. I used the hashtag just to get your attention, Mo Pino Mo Party. You even have T-shirts with that label. How did that get started?
It came from, I saw a picture of Andrea Pirlo, the Italian football he plays for NYCFC. It said, no Pirlo, no party. It was just a plain white T-shirt with black writing on it. And I just thought it was so clever and so cheeky. And so when we were kind of trying to figure out what we wanted to do, we sort of wanted to keep it in the positive realm. So we just put Mo Pino, Mo Party. I think it was my sister.
Love it.
Who thought of that one, or this guy, Sean Tashima, who we work with in our social media. It was sort of a compilation of all of us sort of putting our heads together, but it was just sort of kind of that idea, if there's no Pino, there's no party, but more so it's just there's two of us, and we just try to spread the love and have as much fun as we can. So that's kind of where that came from.
Now, would we have needed Secret Service level security to get you from the team bus to the David Glenn Show tailgate party? I mean, I was sad that you were busy with national team stuff. There's a lot of red tape there for a superstar like Megan Rapinoe, right?
Yeah, probably had to get some helicopters involved and some barricades and a couple guys with ear comms in or something.
Speaking of high-level security, you experienced, I'm trying to remember, it was either the Olympic title or the World Cup title. A ticker tape parade in New York City is not something that everyone gets to live through. And a trip to the White House where you were honored by then-President Barack Obama. Just tell us about those experiences, because that only extends the platform that allows you to do more meaningful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Obviously, we didn't really know what to expect with the parade in New York, to be honest. It was all kind of a whirlwind. We went straight from Vancouver to L.A. and had this incredible reception in L.A. Live. It was like 10,000 people. And that blew us away. and we weren't really sure what ticker tape parade was going to be like. We were like hoping it wasn't like 5,000 people across a mile stretch. I mean, it was insane. Like,
yeah,
just to know, obviously the how big New York is and how much is going on, and there's so many people, and there's just a million different things going on, and just to see how many people showed up for that was incredible. And then obviously getting to go to the White House during President Obama's presidency was just personally a huge highlight for me. I think he's such an inspirational figure, and obviously considering what we have now, I think everyone is wishing that his tenure didn't have to end after 8 years. But it's just incredible to meet him and to be able to have him talk about the team. And I think his daughters, I think, were at the game with the vice president at the time, Joe Biden. Just know that we have fans in the first family of the U.S. is pretty incredible. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Barack Obama. He just seems like a very genuine guy, and it was just kind of one of those special life moments that I'll never forget, being able to meet him.
Megan Rapinoe is joining us on the David Glenn Show. She is a fun follow on Twitter, mpinoe, at MPINOE. Also check out the website she and her sister have at rapinoe.us rather. You sometimes, having seen you play, you're like incredibly tough physically and you're in ridiculously good shape, but you have an inner strength somehow, some way along the road that you mentioned earlier. Not everybody wants to sort of back up Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the anthem. Not everybody wants to be that out member of the LGBT community. Why are things like that important to you at this more recent stage of your career?
That's a good question. I think, being gay and being out for a while, and sort of being a minority in that sense, or, being a female professional athlete and understanding what, the pay gap feels like and resource gap feels like, and, just sort of having a little bit of understanding in that sense, and knowing how important allyship has been for me, and knowing what that's meant to my community, and how I've seen that be, extremely powerful. I feel like we have been, very lucky to have the platform that we have. And I think it's, so many people, especially with the kneeling thing, that, they say, why did you do it? Or why did you choose to do it now? And for me, it was like, why are you not choosing to do it? Why, when it's very clear that we have issues in this country that need to be addressed around racial injustice. And for me, it became a question of I just can't not support this in any way. If I can lend my voice or bring in a different segment of the population that maybe doesn't listen to Colin Kaepernick, but maybe they listen to me, or maybe they would be willing to listen to me. I think it's all of our responsibility to try to make our country and our society, and ultimately the world, a place that is equal for everyone, where everyone has opportunity. And that's just very clearly not the case right now. And I think more needs to be done. I think it falls on everyone. And in my opinion, I think that if you can do something, you have a responsibility to do that. That's just the way that I was raised. That's the way that my family is. That's, kind of the motto that I live by. It's not just enough to kind of stand in the wings and watch something happen that is wrong. So for me, that's what that was about. I felt what Colin and other athletes were doing that resonated with me. I thought that it was a very powerful statement, and obviously something that we needed to talk about last summer was, extremely difficult. I think in the month of July there was, 5 very high-profile police shootings and murders, including police officers, which is, part of the greater problem. And I just feel like any attention that can be brought to it, the more conversations that can be had around it, the better. And, that's kind of why I chose to do it. I just feel like I couldn't not get involved.
Megan Rapinoe is joining us on the David Glenn Show. Megan, I only have a statewide syndicated radio show platform. And when I speak on certain things, it's not going to surprise you, but whether it's on Twitter or emails, I see really hateful, angry stuff. And I always say two things. One, I'm from Philadelphia, where we're kind of grown with tough, thick skin, so I can get through it all. Two, I'm a little bit older and more experienced at this stage of my career. But three, I'll never let unreasonable people dictate to me. How do you get through the negative stuff? Because you got a couple layers going on here. You know, the Kaepernick stuff. Yeah, I have members of my own family who are in the LGBT community, so I have an eyewitness account of some of the hatred that can come their way. Is it laughing is like air to me? Is that the happy place you go to get through the negativity? Because at some point, you probably were bombarded, on Twitter or otherwise, if not in person.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that I got through it, I have a very deep sense of what I feel like is right and wrong. And when I know something in my core is right, and when I feel like, I can sort of rest easy in that. And I could always sleep very soundly with my choice to kneel. I don't know if I did it in the perfect way. There probably is no perfect way. I don't know if I answered every question perfectly, but I don't regret any of it. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. I thought it was very important what I did and what other athletes did and what other people did and what other, high schoolers and junior hires and, different, kids around the country and adults around the country. I felt in my heart that this was the right thing. You can't deny the reason that I did it. You can talk about the method all you want, but nobody likes any form of protest, really. I mean, you can sit quietly at a counter and get ripped out of that chair, or you can kneel, and both are something that at the time people were very against. But there's no way that you can argue with the content of what Kaepernick or what Eric Bailey or what any of these other athletes were talking about and what they're still talking about and what the point of the protest was. I think that was something that I always held on to, of yes, this is obviously going to, be very controversial, but at the end of the day, there's no argument as to the content of what we were talking about and to the content of what, the conversation needs to be about. And I still think that we're not, really facing that head on as a country. I think there's still so much that has to be done, but I could always sleep very easily and very peacefully knowing that I really felt in my heart that I was doing the right thing and supporting the right thing.
Megan Rapinoe is joining us on the David Glenn Show. I think if I keep you too much longer, I'll officially be a Rapinoe stalker, so I won't keep you too much longer. But just a couple of quick things. One, some view North Carolina, our state, as home to the birthplace of women's soccer. You're still a very young woman, so I'm trying to place, what was Mia Hamm for you as a very young girl? What were Carla Overbeck or Christine Lilly or any of the other legends of women's soccer? Who were those inspirations to you as you are to so many today?
Yeah, I mean, for me, they were like this sort of dream come true. It was like, kind of a snapshot of what the future could look like. I remember going to games at Stanford Stadium and going to the World Cup in '99, and really it's sort of dawning on me that this was actually a real thing. This is something that I could do. This is something that I could be. And that, those women, those pioneers early on were just incredible role models and really just incredible pioneers for the sport and, really set us up for the future. They always fought for the right thing. They always fought for the greater good. They represented the U.S. and they represented female athletes in general in just such a powerful, special way. So for me, they were, a glimpse into the future of potentially what I could be and what I ultimately was dreaming of being.
Last thing for you, the biggest world stages that you get are obviously the World Cup and the Olympics. So we'll keep watching you in the NWSL. We have a very successful franchise right here in North Carolina. We actually do a bunch of promotional fun stuff with them and our statewide show. Is it too early to ask your thoughts about 2019 and 2020? Because, the world needs more Pinot.
They do, and ultimately you just have to give the world what they want. No, I'm definitely in for 19 and 20. I mean, I feel, the best that I've felt in my career. I feel, very fit. I think I'm, playing well and feeling confident and feeling really comfortable where I am. We have an incredible group of young players as well that I'd like to impart just even a little bit of the wisdom that I've gathered over all of these years. But they're just an incredible group, and I want to see them, grow up and be successful and be a part of that. But France is going to be amazing. Women's football there is exploding, incredible stadiums. It's just a beautiful country. And Tokyo is going to be dope. So those are just, 2 trips, really, that I don't want to miss out on.
I don't blame you. Her name is Megan Rapinoe, U.S. Women's National Team superstar, Seattle Reign superstar, leading scorer this year in the NWSL. As I thank you for your time and say goodbye, here's my pecking order. The Wambach pass still has to be number 1. But seeing you play in person is now my bronze medal winning Rapinoe moment ever. And getting to interview you on my syndicated radio show gets the silver. But the Abby pass is still the gold medal. Is that all right?
It's got to be number 1 for sure.
Thanks for putting up with me. Thank you for the time on the David Glenn Show.
No worries. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.